clown sense fear. Which is weird because for the most part, clowns weren't meant to be evil. This clown came to her home and shot her. This man murdered 33 men and teenage boys. The neighbor told him, you know, if you see them again, call the police. So many of you guys have seen my video, Why Kids Go Missing at Fairs. And ever since I posted that video, which has been a couple months now, I keep getting hundreds of comments every day talking about, where's the follow-up video? Where's the part 2? So if you guys haven't seen that video, let's do a little recap of what that consisted of. And you know, I was still confused to why he said kids were dying like at a fair. Hit that bitch. And no one knows why. I thought that like kids were dying like on the rides, you know, like that could be logical. Every certain amount of years, kids go missing. If you want to watch the whole video, I'll link it down in the description. After making this video, I've also realized that a lot of you guys have experienced similar things. Taking in that information, I decided to do some research of my own. I began looking at the history of clowns. The very first form of a clown was the one that we all know. The first form of this clown was a name Joseph Grimaldi. He was like a weird type of guy, you know? He told people that he was grim all day. Since his father was an entertainer in London, he took the roles, he stepped in his shoes and was like, Dad, I'm gonna be an entertainer as well. Over the centuries of the development of clowns, you know, there's been happy clowns, sad clowns, and the type of clown we all know, Pennywise.
Hiya, Georgie.
The evil, demonic, scary type of clown that we are low-key afraid of. And as mentioned in my previous video about clowns, clowns sense fear. Which is weird because for the most part, clowns weren't meant to be evil. They were actually meant to be sweet.
Round and round the circus is my home. I always seem to roam. In the rocket ship I soar.
But within that, you know, sweet and sour kind of combo, like, there's some friendliness to it. I know many of you guys don't believe that clowns like these exist. Many of y'all do, and the rest of y'all are just straight up confused. So also mentioned in my previous video, I talked about the clown outbreak that happened, you know, 4 or 5 years ago in the US and the UK. And if you guys don't know what that is, basically a bunch of people were dressed up as clowns and they were going around scaring people and, you know, even going as far as like killing people.
6:30.
John Gacy had no conscience about what he did.
Now, he wasn't always the evil clown. He was also known as Pogo, you know, like the friendly neighborhood clown.
John Gacy loved to live up to that reputation, the killer clown.
On May 26, 1990, someone dressed as a clown arrived at Marlene's Wellington home with flowers and balloons.
Also, the creepiest thing about this experience, I don't know who found this out, but when the clown was leaving the scene, the clown left one of his 2 balloons and said, "You're the greatest."
We'll never forget Marlene. She was a lovely person.
So I received a message from an unnamed source. In 2016, he was coming home from a fair. And he pulled into his driveway with his brother and his friend. He got out the car and he noticed that his neighbor was standing in front of his driveway, and this is literally at midnight. And his neighbor told him that someone threw wet toilet paper at his house. And he saw 3 people in clown costumes run away. And the neighbor told him, you know, if you see them again, call the police. And you know, the guy, not the neighbor, but the guy that lived next door to the guy, next door to the neighbor with the toilet paper, he was at the fair and he noticed that there were a couple clowns at the fair, you know, as usual, but he noticed that one was giving him weird looks and he didn't think much of it because they're clowns. So then he had a flashback of what was happening, so he figured that the clowns followed him home. As the guy got into his house, he saw some eyes staring at him through his bedroom window and he called the cops. Now the cops arrived at his house, they couldn't find any clowns in the surrounding area, so the cops just told him to keep them in the loop and if anything else happens, to contact them. And so that was that. Now if that happened to me, I would move. Straight up, pack my stuff, move. Whew. Let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind clowns. So, should we be scared? Yes. Actually, Don't be that scared, because clowns only account for 0.0088% of total murders nationally. So, in theory, if you want to make yourself feel maybe a little bit better, depending on how you interpret this, you're more likely to get killed by your local doctor instead of a clown. So, take that information as you will. All jokes aside, I think the main creepiness we find in clowns have to do with their unusual patterns of their eye movement and nonverbal behaviors. And oh, their smile. Oh, how could you forget? They don't make me smile. I said it, they don't make me smile, period. They make me timid, they make me anxious, they make me nervous. Pennywise, his smile be creepy. In conclusion of this whole video, and to add to the part 2 of the fair story, clowns have a huge history and play a huge role in entertaining the masses. It's hard to believe that this stuff may or may not be real, but you know, it's a really interesting topic to talk about, because you'll never know when there'll be another clown outbreak.